Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Let's get to the docket. First, our quote of the day. Lori Vallow's packing her bags, gonna take a little trip. We'll tell you where she's going. The guy defending his mother's honor, or I guess opinion, that her fries were cold, well, guess what he has coming? Free speech does not protect lies. All right. Next, the McMichaels. They ask for mercy, something they didn't give Ahmaud Arbery. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. All right. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. You know the drill. Like if you do, subscribe if you haven't, hit that bell. You can always listen to us on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Now, the other day, I said we were going to start a quote of the day because I like quotes. I think they kind of sum things up quite nicely. And yesterday, we had a really good conversation about Lori Hellas. She is the journalist, former attorney, I guess, inactive retired attorney, who basically has filed some motion saying, hey, Judge Boyce there in the Lori Vallow Chad Daybell matters, you didn't comply with the law. We have a right to have access to all the court files. And I said, hey, great job, Miss Hellas. We've reached out to her. Hopefully she will come on the show. But I understand, she probably doesn't want to comment too much on the motions before they are ruled on by the court. But I say kudos to her. Great job. Anyway, I found a quote, and this isn't the quote of the day, but it just brings me back to yesterday. And it says, a free self-governing people needs full information concerning the activities of its government, not only to shape its views of policy and to vote intelligently in elections, but also to compel the state, the agent of the people, to act responsibly and account for its actions. Now, I don't know who said that, but that's really true. We need access to the court system. So we know if we should keep judges. Are the prosecutors who are elected, are they doing a good job? We are entitled to know that information. And the only way we get to know that is if we have basically unfettered access to the motions, the public record in the court files. All right, we digress just a little bit. So let's go ahead and open the docket for Friday, August 5th of 2022. First, Lori Vallow. She is packing her bags, jumping on that transport, gonna take a little trip. Where is she going? Well, she is going from the Madison County Jail to the Fremont County Jail so that she can attend the hearing on August 16th. It's still a little unclear. Will we be hearing the argument for Miss Hellas's motions to grant access to the court, or will we be hearing argument on the motions from Mr. Archibald relating to basically the faulty grand jury indictment or other motions filed by Chad Daybell? It is unclear by the court's notice, but if only we could have access to the court file, we would know exactly what was going to take place. Anyway, we will try to bring that to you. If not, we will try to get the most accurate information possible when it takes place. All right. Next on the docket, remember the guy we talked about yesterday who, Monday was defending his mother's honor, I guess, or her opinion that the fries were cold and then got into a fight with the employee at McDonald's? Well, guess what? The Brooklyn McDonald's worker who was shot in the neck over the cold fries incident has passed away, according to the police. Now, Matthew Webb, he was 23, and he succumbed to his injuries after he was shot Monday outside the Bedford fast food restaurant where he worked, according to the New York Police Department. The attack has been deemed a homicide, and the investigation remains ongoing, according to the police department. Now, Michael Morgan, who's 20, has already been charged with attempted murder and criminal possession of a loaded firearm for, shooting Mr. Webb in anger at his mom getting served cold fries. Now, he's expected to face upgraded homicide charges. Prosecutors told a court hearing late afternoon, even before Webb's death was confirmed. Now, when the workers began apparently laughing at Miss Fulmer, she was FaceTiming with Mr. Morgan. That's the mom to her son, who came to the restaurant and got into a fight with Mr. Webb that spilled out onto the sidewalk. Morgan allegedly punched Webb in the face, and when he got back up, he pulled out a gun and blasted him in the neck, according to the prosecutor's theory. His mother later told police that her son told her he gotta do what he gotta do. Now, the suspect's girlfriend, Camille Dunlap, has also been charged with weapons possession for allegedly handing Morgan the gun. She was arraigned later Wednesday afternoon and held on a $50,000 cash bail after prosecutors said that she admitted to possessing the gun. Now, Morgan was already charged with an earlier homicide after allegedly confessing during questioning about the McDonald's shooting. That's right, which brings us to our quote today. If there were no bad people, there would be no good lawyers. Just remember that, ladies and gentlemen, because lawyers, the good ones, get a lot of practice. Like many Americans, we got a dog during the pandemic. My quarantine dog, Miss Winnie the Bulldog. Now, Miss Winnie has grown accustomed to being around us all the time. When we were leaving the house, Winnie would have extreme anxiety, so we decided to look for natural products to help with her anxiety. We looked for the highest quality CBD treats, and we were not satisfied, and neither was Winnie. So we created a high-quality CBD product that absorbs faster and provides the required results faster. Baked in Colorado CBD treats and beverage enhancers are made with nanotechnology. The nanotechnology makes the CBD extraction more pure, also allows for Baked in Colorado products to work faster. Baked in Colorado products can help reduce your pet's anxiety, ease joint pain, and help with your dog's skin problems. Go to our online store and see what Baked in Colorado product is best for your dog. When you order at bakedincolorado.com, enter code WINNIE and receive 15% off your first order. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If your dog does not experience the desired results in 30 days, return the product and we will refund your money. No questions asked. Next on the docket, free speech doesn't protect lies. And the reason why we're talking about this is the $4.1 million compensatory damages that were found by a Texas jury as it related to Alex Jones' speech, basically coming up with lies, basically saying that the Sandy Hook shooting was a complete fabrication, and basically the parents had done terrible things to their children. Yeah, it's a complete lie, okay? And the jury said $4.1 million compensatory damages, compensate them for their past out-of-pocket pain and suffering, out-of-pocket expenses related to counseling, things of that nature, to bring the case, attorney's fees, etc. Well, now there's going to be punitive sanctions. Punitive sanctions are there to, well, punish somebody so to make sure they don't do it again. So I think we're going to speculate, and I think the next punitive sanction portion of it, we're probably talking about, I say $12 million. That's what I'm saying. We'll see. Because as the attorneys for the family said, speech is free, but you have to pay for your lies. And I'm one of the biggest free speech advocates out there. I think people should be allowed to say, well, just about anything under the old, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. That's just the way it is. The truth comes out when ideas are challenged and people say things. Now, obviously with Alex Jones, the man said lies. Stupid, ridiculous things. And I'm not opposed to stupid, ridiculous things, but if they're absolutely lies and you can prove that they're lies, you're going to have to pay. So, although $4.1 million has been awarded, like I said, it doesn't end his legal battles for Mr. Jones. In addition to the pending civil case in Connecticut, the broadcaster's opposing counsel effectively accused him of perjury during cross-examination. Plaintiff's lawyer, Mark Bankston, appeared to surprise Mr. Jones by announcing that defense lawyers inadvertently sent the family's legal team's years of Jones' phone data. Ooh, ouch. Should somebody be contacting their malpractice carrier? But sometimes you have to turn those things over or say, hey, did you intend to turn this over? But you turned it over, so maybe it's a privilege log or not. But sometimes in something contentious as something like this with old Alex Jones, maybe you just lie in wait and you have all that information. And then it looks like, well, you've been lying the whole time because your phone data backs it up. Needless to say, the next day, Bankston told the Travis County Judge Maya Guerrero Gamble that various federal and state law enforcement agencies asked him to share that data. So has the January 6th committee, which has taken an interest in Mr. Jones' communications with now former President Donald Trump and his fixer, Mr. Roger Stone. Now, Gamble has not yet ruled on whether Bankston can share the messages with the committee and other plaintiffs' lawyers in Connecticut. Yeah. I would say bad news for the attorneys for Mr. Jones. If there are things you're not supposed to turn over, you're not supposed to turn them over. Bad. Could be bad. Really bad for them. And not to realize it or find out about it in open court, can you only imagine what was going through that attorney's head? Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Should I call my malpractice carrier now? Gee, I hope I have enough protection. I may have to file for bankruptcy. All those kinds of things, I'm sure, were going through the head. But when you push the limits like that, like it seemed like Mr. Jones' attorneys did, sometimes karma comes back to bite you. Hey, remember the McMichaels? That's right, the father-son team, Gregory McMichael and Travis McMichael. They were found guilty along with William Roddy Bryan for the death of Ahmaud Arbery. Well, guess what? Obviously, no, they were convicted in both state and federal courts for killing Mr. Arbery back in February of 2020. The trio chased down Mr. Arbery, who was black, in a pickup truck as he ran through the neighborhood. Now, both Travis McMichael and Bryan were armed and confronting Mr. Arbery. Travis fired 3 times, killing Mr. Arbery instantly. Well, a Georgia jury convicted all 3 men of murder back in November of 2021, and they were subsequently sentenced to life in prison without parole. Then a federal jury, finding that the men's crimes were racially motivated, convicted them of interference with rights and attempted kidnapping in February of this year. They were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on the state charges, and sentencing in the federal case is set for August 8th. Once again, Mr. McMichaels faces up to life in prison. Well, in his sentencing memorandum filed, Gregory McMichael's attorney, Mr. Vallow, asked the United States District Judge, who's overseeing the case, Lisa Wood, to send Mr. McMichael to 20 years in prison and that he serve his time in federal prison instead of a state facility, which is basically just too dangerous for his client, he gleans. He writes in his brief, quote, "Clearly the offenses to which Greg McMichael has been found guilty warrant a substantial period of incarceration. That is not being contested in this memorandum," the attorney wrote. To ensure the physical safety of Mr. McMichael, however, he should not be sent to a state prison system whose very operation may enable inmates to engage in dangerous and even deadly activity. The attorney's memo emphasized that McMichael's military service, when he was in the Navy from 1975 to 1977, he made sure to draw the attention to the race of the man whose life he saved. Apparently, while serving in the Navy, Mr. McMichael distinguished himself by saving the life of a shipmate who was drowning in the Bay of Cadiz in southwestern Spain. Noting that McMichael received a letter of accommodations for his actions. The shipmate, whose life was saved by Mr. McMichaels, was African American, according to his attorney. The memo also noted McMichael's 30-plus years working in law enforcement and included several pictures of a smiling Mr. McMichaels with his family, referring to him as the quintessential family man who enjoyed spending time with his wife and children. Mr. McMichael's attorney also went through his medical ailments, including having suffered several strokes over the years, and that he uses a heart monitor and has a history of depression and anxiety. Mr. McMichael's attorneys are asking for a downward variance from the federal sentencing guidelines, which provides a maximum life sentence plus 7 years, and it's warranted in order to avoid significant disparity in similarly convicted individuals whose culpable conduct far exceeded that of the defendant. They actually cited the case of now former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who obviously was convicted of George Floyd by pinning him to the ground for nearly 10 minutes. The attorney said that his client's sentence should align more closely with Mr. Chauvin's 20 to 25-year sentence in his federal case to be served concurrently with his 22-plus year sentence in the state case. Now, Mr. McMichaels' wife, Lee McMichaels, also wrote a letter to the judge begging the court to have mercy on Greg. We'll see how that goes. Now, when it's life in prison under the federal sentencing guidelines, the little chart says life, okay? And I've dealt with this quite recently because I had a client that was facing life based upon a very serious case in federal court. But life doesn't actually mean life. You got to go dig deep into the federal sentencing guidelines, and it's really kind of a base starting point of about 40 years. And then you kind of work from there. And really it's because nobody lived that long in prison anyway, so it really amounts to life. But I had a similar situation where the client was looking at life, the judge came off of it, and although we were hoping for a lower sentence, we got 30 years, which was still better than life without parole, which ultimately he had been looking at in both state and the federal system. Good lawyering, I would say. Pretty good lawyering, I must say so myself. But in this particular case, you have to remember, the judge rejected the plea deal for the McMichaels, saying that it was too lenient when they wanted to give him concurrent sentences and for 25 years. And the judge was like, no, I'm going to make sure that this guy said, it's academic at this point. The only reason why the McMichaels are arguing for anything in federal court is that he wants to serve his time in federal custody. And not that federal custody is like going to a country club, okay? I assure you, none of you would want to go to a federal prison and be locked down. I have seen some of the most heinous cases that have taken place in a federal Bureau of Prison facility, okay? So graphic, I don't even want to talk about it. It would totally get us demonetized. But the point is, they're no country club. And particularly if you're a former police officer, let alone a racist, as basically people have determined that the McMichaels are for killing Mr. Arbery, it's not going to be pleasant. And when you're already 60-something years old, yeah, you want your time to be as comfortable as possible, but it's not really going to matter at the end of the day. All right, next on the docket, our dumb criminal of the day. Now, a reputed Florida gang member is facing felony charges for uploading a homemade rap video to YouTube. The guy, Tito Bernie, is a member of St. Petersburg's Auburn Park crew, according to the police, who Tuesday arrested the man on multiple felony counts. Now, Bernie is seen in this video, and you can take a listen to it.
Over my neck. I'm Peter Parker. I keep that suit in my neck with groupies all stuck in my neck.
Not that good. Well, he's locked up on an $80,000 bond. Now, this is where it gets a little weird. Citing a law barring criminal gang electronic communications, police argue that Bernie and his posting, which is called Ain't Duckin' No Wreck, which has garnered a whole 2,100 views and 4 comments, is one of 3 videos on Bernie's YouTube page, which has 237 subscribers. Police allege that the song contains lyrics that are being utilized to benefit, promote, and further the interest of the Auburn Park gang and intimidate or harass other persons. Specifically, a police detective in the arrest affidavit noted that Bernie rapped about handling beef with firearms and spoke of doing a drive-by shooting with a Tech-9 submachine gun. Now, in the video, which was filmed outside a St. Petersburg food market, Bernie, who's wearing some sort of head cover and a La Costa t-shirt, appears to be holding real firearms, according to the detective. Now, when Bernie was apprehended Tuesday evening on this rap video count, he was allegedly carrying a stolen handgun as well, which allowed him to be charged with additional felonies. Now, Bernie's rap sheet includes convictions for criminal mischief, grand theft auto, possession of drug paraphernalia, obstructing police officers, trespass, possession of heroin, fleeing law enforcement, possession of ecstasy, possession of firearm by a convicted felon. Now, Mr. Bernie's got some problems, okay? But I don't think the lyrics in his video should be the basis for being arrested. Kind of seems like a little bit of a violation of free speech. But what it may be is an admission, a statement against penal interest that comes in against him if the police can tie him to these other crimes. Now, Mr. Bernie, I watched your video, so now you've got 2,101 views. But yeah, it looks like you're carrying real guns in there. And guess what? You're a prohibited person. You can't possess firearms. So we've said it once, we'll say it again. Don't live stream the crime scene, okay? Don't do it. And even if you've recorded it and uploaded it, it's a problem. Mr. Bernie, you are a dumb criminal of the day. Think you can probably beat the whole uploading the video thing, but they're probably going to get you on the gun possession. Tough being you, Mr. Bernie. All right. That's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.